Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Trade Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Tuesday, November 19th. Very nice day for growth stocks and a nice move off the lows for today. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Excuse me. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. Taking a look at like how the day unfolded, there's a couple things that kind of seemed a bit extreme to me. One of which was the tick index, which kind of just looks at, extreme. Well, it can look at when it gets to negative 1,000 or plus 1,000. It's a bit extreme in terms of advancing versus declining. Names out there. So we did see like around a negative 1,000 tick right off the bat this morning, and sometimes that can act as the day's low, or sometimes when we're really hot out of the gate too, when it's plus 1,000, sometimes that marks that we're a little bit too heated to start the day. So I thought that was a good indicator. I thought that obviously geopolitical concerns were driving some of that volatility, but I also thought like yesterday was a little bit of a bounce day, or like we basically saw Thursday and Friday as pretty weak days. So Monday just felt like it was a little bit of a bounce, and but we didn't really see much, especially like we kind of got the fade in the afternoon, and yesterday was just basically an inside day. So I think it helped things to have like one more shakeout. I know a number of people have been talking about too, like how well growth stocks have been, right? Names particularly that had good, strong earnings, that basically just started to kind of pull back a little bit. And, that's a really good, those are usually good buying opportunities, especially where we are at this point in the year, November, which is the strongest, I believe it's the strongest seasonal month of the year. So, just a number of really good looking charts, basically just a little bit of a pullback. Some did even get to the 20-day moving average and a move higher. So I'm going to go through a bunch of charts with you. But basically, when you look at the what I noticed right away with the indices down, down on the day to start, was that the how well those growth stocks were doing. And one of the ETFs that I have on my radar is FFTY, and that's the IBD 50 ETF. And you could see what happened in that ETF today. Just bring up the components of this, and you can see the movers. But right off the bat, that was up like a 0.5%. Then it was up 1%, and that's when I tweeted that on Twitter. I tweeted that on X, basically saying, "Hey, this is really showing some nice strength to it." And lo and behold, that ETF FFTY finished up 4% on the day. All right, so you look at the components in here, and yes, it's things like Lemonade up 17%, VRT, which is up 14.5, Hims was up 12%. Powell, which had earnings, and I believe that's down, finished up 8%. Toast up 6.7%. Rocket Labs. I mean, so look at how many names up about over 4%. Nvidia's in there too. FTAI, Dual, Fix, ALAB, which again, I'm going to go through some of these charts with you. Reddit was up 6%. So, you know, a common theme in many of these names is their momentum. Also, some of them have had really good earnings too. So let's begin to kind of look at the charts today. Also, I think when you've got this like knee-jerk reaction to geopolitical concerns, bonds go up. The dollar was also down today. The dollar has been really moving higher, over the last 2 weeks. So it's nice to see that the dollar, just the fact that the dollar was flat today. TLT was up a 0.5% today. Just kind of like pumps, takes the foot off the accelerator of those macro headwinds, right, and causing things to kind of move up. But the VIX was still up today. It just was decently off the highs of the session. So let's first look at the SPY chart. The main thing that I saw yesterday was inside day. Right now, we've got a little bit of a better candle to build off of, and a little bit more of bumper room. Notice what we did here too. Looking at volume at price, which is the MarketWebs indicator and the market profile, right? So this value area, of course, is based on is based on the previous period, and notice how well, so here it is shaded over here. This is the volume profile from the last period, and notice how well our support level is working, and or worked right there. So that level that I was keeping an eye on and mentioned in yesterday's pre-market note was 585.29. So even though I wasn't in love with yesterday's price action, with an inside day, which doesn't really, it doesn't draw any conclusions. We had this move lower, and we're finding that support, right where we should, right? And it's showing that buyers are honoring the breakout, right? And that's 585.29. Now, we did not take back the 5-period moving average, but again, I think it's a little bit of baby steps at this point, right? And here's the Qs, which also, breached that value area on Friday. This was one of the things that I was watching, right around when we had this volatility. I had mentioned it on in pre-market prep, which you could listen in on YouTube every morning, starting at 8 in the morning. But I came on a little bit later on their show, and I said, "Hey, I'm watching to see if the Qs hold the low of last week." So right here, and they did. And again, like it doesn't have to be like an exact science. Like it can be breached, but what you're watching to see is if you're going to see this like buoyancy, right? And to see if it like starts to go lower and then comes right back up, which is basically what we saw for the day. So we're kind of moving back to I think where we were Friday morning. So there's definitely some more work to do. And I think that 5-period moving averages will be something to watch to see if price can regain those 5-period moving averages, right? Then we know that the trend is strong and that buyers are definitely coming back in, right? But again, they are. IWM did not, has looked different than the S&P and the Qs for a while. It still does. This did not get back to the top of the value area, but inside day yesterday did not take back where this opened on Friday, and also still below the 5-period moving average. All right, so just to kind of gloss over those indices for you. Again, I thought this was the most interesting thing today, was how well, because I consider this both growth and like momentum growth of what IBD puts in their ETF. Notice that this not only got above Friday, but it got above Thursday. All right. So again, what is this telling you, or what is this telling me? I should say it's just telling me what the market likes right now. And we can go into various different names. Lemonade was the best performer out of this group. It was a name on our watch list. I did not play this name, but look at the inside day, and then boom, to the upside. So very, very strong in this Lemonade AI insurance. Um, Also, looking at names like Affirm, which acted great yesterday, had some continuation yesterday. I mentioned the price action yesterday on Twitter, and nice follow through for this one. Also, I'm just going to throw out some names in there, but look at Reddit. Reddit made it through its 1 hour value area. So if you're trading this one, I would watch 134.13, right? Notice how this climbed above. Again, these names have in common strong earnings. Look at VRT had a huge day today, which kind of brings me to, some of these AI names were really strong today. ALAB is a name that I got long last week. I got long a little bit too early on this one. I think right in here, I was able to take a target, went a little bit lower on me than yesterday, regained this 5-period moving average. Very nice. But yeah, some of this is going to hinge on what NVIDIA does after the close. If they continue to say that demand is super, super strong for their semiconductors and AI chips, and then it should be good for the group. But nice move higher. Again, shaking everybody out yesterday with that report from the information talking about there's a cooling issue. I mean, I don't think that that's the end of the world. That there's some issues with some things, but we'll see. This is what the history is for NVIDIA, right? And of course, it makes it a little bit. I think it makes it look difficult at this point because there's a lot priced into the stock. Remember last quarter, the stock actually went down on earnings. It was down 6%, right? So you can see that here. on the last earnings report was it fell a little bit, right? And it took a while for it to kind of climb back a little bit. You had to see Jensen come out with his, with his leather jacket a couple times to get the stock going again. And so that was also like another shakeout, but the trend, it did make a higher low from a technical standpoint, and it's been doing that since the lows of August, right? So on the earnings, made a higher low. Um, Another higher low here, another higher low here, and a shakeout. And we'll see if this thing wants to continue higher. But it's barely, this is basically sitting where it was back in June. So a little bit higher than the June highs. So again, it will be very interesting to see that. The stock that got a lot of attention was the SMCI. Getting all the way back, I think, to last week's highs. So congrats. I know a lot of people are like getting all excited about this one. Excuse me, 2 weeks ago. Right. So yeah, back to where it was 2 weeks ago. I know the percentages, I even see on Bloomberg, they're like, oh, this is the biggest move that, this stock has made and months and months, but they're looking at percentages, right? This is a $28 stock. So yeah, nice to buy it if you scooped it up, I guess. There was, I think, an island reversal in this name, but it's great that they have an auditor and they're not getting delisted. Sounds wonderful, right? Wow, they've got somebody who's going to look at their books. So again, sorry to downplay a little bit. Hey, but if you made money in this from the lows, that's awesome. Great job. Would I be staying in this for much longer than that? I don't know. I don't get why some are so drawn to these names when you could have just picked something that was in an uptrend, right? Because again, it gets so much attention, right? People think it's a good buy down here. I mean, look at what VRT did. And I've tried to make this point. People spend so much energy on trying to pick the absolute bottom in a name that they miss something like this. So this is a company that's executing. They had good earnings, and so I don't know why people need to try to think that they can pick the bottom in these things, but I guess there's an element of fun in it too for some folks, but it is what it is. Other names like our watch list was just absolutely on fire. Again, look at what I try to do over the weekend. I try to stick to where the market was telling me to go, and with that strength. So mention a firm, Tesla, which had a huge day yesterday. Watch where this thing kind of, I think for the week, watch where this thing closed. Right at this, right at this 346 level. So, what's the thought process on this? Well, if it breaks this, I think that then the next move could be the 364. But notice how well like volume at price is, and the value area is telling you that there's a little bit of short-term resistance. This is, everybody was going nuts yesterday morning, but it could not break through, and again, it was a big move yesterday. But for now, the dip was being bought in here, but it is not able to break higher. But that is definitely a name that I would be paying attention to tomorrow. Another name that was strong today, again, the theme is momentum. The theme is, pull back into a little bit of support. Watch this Rocket Labs, watch 21. Notice this again, had a big day, big rally, but a little bit right into resistance. Right there. Another name that I mentioned in my midday note was Carvana. Cover again, sticking with the same theme, right? Notice how this is consolidating. I tend to look for the move back above the 5-period moving average. Notice how that candle yesterday got back above the 5-period moving average, started a little bit lower, but ultimately I think that this thing continues higher and takes out the 265. AXON is another one I'm watching too. Again, it doesn't matter. Like, so I know that some folks, and that's why they kind of look at like the SMCI, they think that they're getting a bargain. But these names just continue to move higher. The level that I would watch here is 612.29. Notice how it's been going sideways for about a week. Right. So I would keep an eye on this one. And again, you just kind of set an alert, or if you don't want 612.29, maybe this candle right here, which is right around 615. GEV, this is a name that I got involved in today. This did make it through the value area, but this gave a nice little test here right at the bottom of the value area. I liked that risk to reward. Also notice right in here into the 20-day moving average after a nice nice pop in here, settling in, and let's hope that this continues higher. One that I have on the TTG trend portfolio, but not in the but not in my trading account was FTAI. Look at this stock, making a new high today. All right, so what else was I going to cover? Maybe IONQ, quantum computing. Also looking good here too. One other name that I'm watching for tomorrow, because we know that fintech has been very hot. This name did not get above its 5-period moving average today, so still on watch. Again, it just may need to consolidate a little bit more, but I would watch for a move basically around like 84.30. I think that's where I set my alert. All right, guys, that is it. But I could go over like another 10 names here, but it just is the theme right now is names that have had good results, good earnings, and momentum and growth. I think also too, when you look at the move in interest rates today, that helped. Also, they kind of have nothing to do with people like to flock to these things when there is geopolitical concerns, because these names are really not affected by all of that as long as there's no World War III on our hands. All right, guys, have a great night. Really nice trading day, and see you tomorrow.